There's something much worse than a wendigo. Now that is called a Wechuge. Wechuge is a old Native American legend from the Pacific Northwest up into Canada. They are these terrifying cannibalistic creatures, essentially the cousin to the wendigo. Now, the Wechuge is a creature that represents someone who has been cursed. Often, these beasts are a result of someone who craved the power of the Great Spirit animal, but it couldn't control it. And it was turned into a Wechuge as punishment. Now, they also believed that one could become a Wechuge if they were to break some sort of taboo of their culture. If they were photographed, if you even spoke the name of Wechuge, you could essentially be cursed to become this creature. Now, this story comes from the 1800s in the Pacific Northwest. There were these four loggers, and they happened to find themselves caught in the middle of this horrible snowstorm. So they managed to find this old abandoned cabin, and they took refuge inside. So they build a fire, and they get some soup going, and they sit around and they eat. Well, they could hear the winds howling and hitting the house. They could see the snow just coming down outside, and it was just this terrible blizzard. So eventually, they all four go to bed. They lay down and fall asleep. In the middle of the night, one of the men in the group, he wakes up, and when he looks over, he notices the front door is open. And he could see the wind blowing the trees, and he could see a breeze coming in through the door, moving it. But he couldn't hear it. It was completely quiet. So he gets up and he walks over to the door and he looks outside and he can see there's this blizzard going on, but he cannot hear nothing at all. It is completely quiet. So he goes and he wakes up the other guys and he says, like, hey, there's something going on. Like, I cannot hear anything outside, even though there's this big storm. And all the men, they go to the door. And as well, they couldn't hear anything. It was just completely still and quiet. That's when they started to hear a young girl crying. And as they looked out into the snowstorm outside the cabin, they see a small little figure approach. And as it came closer to the cabin, into the light of the fire, they could see it was a small girl. And she was wearing just some sort of Native American fur coat. She has no shoes, no socks, no feet coverings. She's completely barefoot. And she's walking in the middle of the snowstorm. So they run out to her and they say, oh my gosh, like, are you okay? Are you all right? And they bring her into the cabin. Well, they start trying to talk to her, like, what are you doing out in the middle of a snowstorm? Like, where are you from? Where are your parents? But she doesn't speak any English. So they get her some soup and they get her to bed. And she lays down and falls asleep. So they start talking amongst themselves, like, where did this girl come from? Like, who is this? Like, there's no Native American tribes around in this area. So eventually they all go back to bed. And in the morning, that same man who had woken up and found the door open, he wakes up to the cabin being ice cold. And when he looks over, the fire in the fireplace has gone out. And all of the men that were with him have been mutilated. Their blood, their guts are everywhere, all over this cabin. Something has attacked them. And this little girl is nowhere to be found. So the man gets up and he starts looking for this girl. And when he goes outside the cabin, he finds sort of this trail of blood spots. And he finds these tiny little footprints. And they are leading out into the forest. So he follows them. And he gets into the woods. And he said that's when he sees this little girl. And she is covered in blood. And she is dragging something along. It's one of the men that was with him in the cabin. And that's when he sees this young girl transform into this 7-foot tall, hideous creature that was just skin and bones and had very large antlers, big red eyes, sharp, jagged yellow teeth, and these long, dangly fingers. And it is covered in sort of ice. And it's dragging this man off into the woods. And it lets off this terrifying scream. About a week later, this man is discovered. And he is found by a couple fur trappers. And when they find him, he's in a very bad state. So they bring him back to this trading post. And after several days, they nurse him back to health. When he gets his strength back and he's able to walk around, he is at this house. He leaves the house and he goes to this sort of local pub gathering space. And when he goes inside, there's a Native American man with this young girl. And as he looks at the young girl, he recognizes her as the creature he had seen in the woods.